It was the summer of 2020. A strange time in the world, and in WWE, no less. But one thing remained constant: the conversation. The analysis. The breakdowns that followed every episode, especially on Friday nights. And on July 31, 2020, the Wade Keller Pro Wrestling post-show captured it all. Wade Keller, a longtime voice of reason in wrestling media, took the mic alongside guest co-host Mike Chiari, of Ring Rust Radio and Bleacher Report fame. Together, they peeled back the layers of that night's edition of WWE SmackDown. There was a lot to unpack. This wasn't just another episode. It was one that walked a fine line between storytelling brilliance and frustrating stagnation. It started with a chilling moment. A twist no one saw coming, yet somehow felt inevitable in the world of Bray Wyatt. Alexa Bliss, innocent and unaware, stood in the path of darkness. Then came the Fiend. The lights dropped. The tension rose. And when it was over, Bliss had been attacked by WWE's most terrifying creation. It wasn't just a storyline swerve. It was a new chapter being written before our eyes. The chemistry between Bliss and Braun Strowman had been teased. Their shared past hinted at emotional conflict. But this was escalation. The Fiend doesn't just haunt. He corrupts. Keller and Chiari dove into the psychology of it. They discussed how this angle could redefine Alexa Bliss. Could she become Sister Abigail? Would she fall under Bray's influence? The questions piled up. Meanwhile, the in-ring action was firing on all cylinders. AJ Styles defended the Intercontinental Championship against Gran Metalik. On paper, a mismatch. Styles, a main event staple. Metalik, often relegated to tag matches and high-flying showcases. But in practice, they delivered. The match was crisp, competitive. Gran Metalik had his moments, reminding the world he was far more than a cruiserweight. Styles, as always, elevated his opponent while reaffirming why he was one of the greatest technicians in WWE history. Keller praised the pacing. Chiari called it one of the night's standouts. Then came the subplot with Shorty G. Yes, Shorty G, Chad Gable, buried under a nickname that never quite clicked. He saw opportunity. Baron Corbin had placed a bounty on Matt Riddle. And Shorty G, looking for direction, tried to cash in. But this wasn't just about money. It was about identity. Gable was a former Olympian. A world-class grappler. And now, he was running side missions for Corbin. Keller and Chiari were frustrated. This wasn't a heel turn with substance, it was a detour with no clear path forward. Matt Riddle, on the other hand, remained a wild card. He was unique, polarizing, and still, new enough that WWE didn't seem sure what to do with him. Then the show shifted gears. Big E stepped up. With Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods out of action, Big E began his long-awaited singles run. He faced The Miz, veteran, crafty, talkative, and willing to do whatever it took to win. The match was solid. The intent was clear. WWE was finally giving Big E a chance to shine. But Keller questioned, was it truly a new Big E? Or was it the same Big E, just without the New Day theme song? He was still dancing, still joking, still the same. Chiari echoed the sentiment. The talent was there, the power, the charisma. But could Big E go serious if the time called for it? Only time would tell. Then came the women's division. Bayley defended her SmackDown Women's title against Nikki Cross. It was competitive, emotional, and physical. Cross fought like it was her last shot. Bayley played the smug champion to perfection. But once again, Bayley walked away with gold. Keller and Chiari praised the chemistry, but wondered if Cross was being set up for a longer story, or simply filling time before Sasha Banks made her own move. And then there was Sheamus vs. Jeff Hardy. A feud that had grown personal. Dark. It wasn't just about wrestling. It was about redemption, addiction, and past trauma. They had recently clashed in a bar fight, a cinematic spectacle that divided the fanbase. Some loved the drama, others hated the presentation. But one thing was clear, it left an impact. SmackDown followed up on that storyline, and both Keller and Chiari were curious where it would lead next. Would Jeff rise? Would Sheamus pivot? Could this feud end without one man being completely destroyed? Then came the Firefly Funhouse. Bray Wyatt's other persona. The smiling, twisted host of children's programming that no child should ever watch. He spoke in riddles. In metaphors. He referenced Braun. He alluded to Alexa. It was subtle, creepy, and masterful. Keller called it an art form. Chiari said it was the most creative thing in wrestling. SmackDown, that night, was a balance of stories, some soaring, some stumbling. There was potential. There were missteps. There was repetition. But above all, there was intrigue. The Fiend's attack on Bliss was the hook. Styles vs. Metalik